They're not into what is timeless, they're into what is trendy. You know? If something is going this way, it doesn't matter if it agrees with their principles of faith or not. They're just going to go for it, you know, with no sense of what is right and what is wrong. A new movie comes out. Oh, it's just got a couple of filthy scenes. You know, it's rated for language or whatever. But I mean, everybody's watching it. Come on, let's go watch it, you know? So you don't want to hold yourself, you want to draw the line for yourself anywhere. This is, if they were given some other motive, they would just go grab it. أَلَمْ يُؤْخَذْ عَلَيْهِمْ مِيثَاقُ الْكِتَابِ. Aren't they under contract? As I'll put it in simple terms. Aren't they under contract from the book? That they're not going to be speaking except the truth on behalf of Allah? In other words, young people, the next generation, were supposed to be the outspoken, the spokespeople for Allah's book. وَدَرَسُوا مَا فِيهِ. And weren't they supposed to be the people that studied what's in the book? So the young generation will live up to the expectations of the previous, and their prayers will be fulfilled when we become a generation that wants to learn revelation, that wants to live revelation, that wants to share the message of it passionately with others. وَالدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ. And the final home is better for people who really want to protect themselves. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Then why aren't you thinking about it? Then don't you think? Haven't you given this any thought? You and I have to think what kind of generation we are. Are we going to be the generation that lifts our ancestors on Judgment Day? Or are we going to be the ones that drop them? I want to put this in perspective for some of you. Many of us are not from like the Arab or of Arab lineage. For those of us that are from Arab lineage, you know, your Islam comes maybe even from the Sahaba's times, and it's being passed down from then on. But those of us that come, for example, from Asia, those of us that come from Africa, those of us that come from Europe, other parts of the world, you can imagine 2, 3, 4 generations before, probably even sooner, our ancestors weren't Muslim. Somebody took Shahada. Somebody became a Muslim. And when they became a Muslim, when they heard the stories of the previous prophets, that prophets taught Islam, and then their next generation got a little bit deteriorated, and then the next generation got a little more deteriorated, and eventually Islam was lost. So a next prophet had to come. When they hear those stories, those people cried, and they said, Ya Allah, we're going to have children. Our children are young right now. Ya Allah, please raise them on Islam. Give them the ability to say La ilaha illallah, so they can carry this message. I have been gifted with Islam. I was living in shirk my whole life. You guided me to Islam. Please guide my children to Islam. And those children had children, and their children had children, and now we've been Muslims for generations. And you know what's really sad? The first person way back who became Muslim in our ancestry, who left Buddhism or Hinduism or Christianity or whatever else they had, and they left that for Islam, if they could only look at what you and I are doing today, you know? Are we living up to that sacrifice and that prayer that they made? Or are we an embarrassment to their legacy, you know? Do we look more like our non-Muslim ancestors, or do we look more like our Muslim ancestors? Are we khalf or are we khalaf? May Allah Azza wa Jal make all of us khalaf and make us the pride of our ancestors, so that when we see them on Judgment Day, I want to meet the person who took Shahada in the ancestry of my family, because I know our ancestry is from the Afaan area, so they were probably Buddhists way back in the day. And somebody took Shahada, somebody became a Muslim, and I want to meet them, and I want to be able to say that we carried that La ilaha illallah from you. Allah Azza wa Jal made you a means. And so all the good that I do in my life and my children do kept counting towards you. This is the joy of being reunited with our previous generations on the Day of Judgment. Barakallah.